Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather in the U.S. and Canada. So let's see what's happening today. We have still that slight risk. They added it yesterday, forming Minnesota, parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, and Iowa, and a bigger marginal risk all the way from Texas to Minnesota. So some general storms in the southeast and near California, Nevada, and the north there. So tornado threat is actually 2% near Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, and South Dakota. So be aware there. Wind 15.5% and hail also 15.5%. So be aware. Let's see. Thunderstorms capable of severe and gusts and isolated large hail are possible today in parts of eastern Dakotas, Minnesota, into the mid-Missouri Valley. A marginal severe threat will be possible in parts of central and southern plains. So be aware there. Let's see. For tomorrow, there's a bigger marginal risk in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa, and a marginal from Oklahoma to Minnesota. That's a slight risk there. A slight risk in Minnesota and Iowa and Wisconsin, yeah. And there's some general storms in the south too, and still a storm or two in California and Nevada there. So tornadoes actually 5% tomorrow, Minnesota, Wisconsin. So be aware, a few tornadoes possible, 2% all the way down to Kansas. Wind threat, the whole area, 15.5%, and hail, the same thing but hatched for potential 3-inch plus hail. So 2-inch plus hail. So be aware, there's some large hail, tornadoes, and damaging winds. So let's see. Scare severe thunderstorms possible from mid-afternoon to early evening to mid-evening on Thursday across central eastern plains, eastern Minnesota, and northern Iowa, western Wisconsin. A few tornadoes, isolated very large hail, and damaging wind gusts may occur. So be aware in Minnesota there, and Wisconsin into Iowa, and also down in the marginal risk. So be careful. And let's see. Day 3, just general risk of storms for now. General storms in the south and many areas. Day 4, Saturday, they still don't have anything there, but we will have that bigger system there, so we'll have to watch. And the HER shows like those storms today there in Minnesota, still some storms there. And then we have the low pressure spinning in Montana with a lot of heavy rain. And the storms really fire layered this afternoon in Iowa there. Shows Iowa, southern Minnesota, some stronger storms. But the HER isn't showing like much. It's showing only some storms there, but nothing crazy today. In Texas to Oklahoma, might be a storm or two in Kansas, in the marginal risk, so be aware. Shows also, yeah, in California, some more showers and some storms there, and in the southeast, some general storms in Florida, so be aware. Let's see another one, for example, the 12Z. It even showed a snow shower too in Montana and Wyoming. Shows there like the storms in Minnesota and Ontario, and later this afternoon in Iowa there. But then tomorrow it shows that big line there developing Minnesota tomorrow afternoon in the slight risk and going to Wisconsin. So a big line of storms into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ontario there, even to Iowa later. So northern Missouri too. So tomorrow will be a big day. So be aware. And still shows like those snow showers there, that low pressure with heavy rain. So let's see. The accumulated precipitation in Montana shows there like almost to 4 or 5 inches in parts of Montana, southern Saskatchewan close to 4 inches, some other areas there, Florida, general storms, and in California, Nevada there. So be aware. And let's see. And the snowfall, the HERS is also showing like still some snow in northern Wisconsin, Montana and California there in the mountains. So be aware. And the excessive rainfall, slight risk for possible flooding there in Montana, and a marginal, so be careful with the heavy rain. marginal in California and Nevada as well. And tomorrow there's still no risk for Thursday. Friday still no risk, and Saturday there's already that marginal there from Colorado, Kansas, Iowa, parts of the Nebraska, Wyoming, and Missouri. So even South Dakota. So be aware for Saturday, Sunday still there a marginal risk. So the rainfall today, Wednesday, shows a lot in Montana, close to 3 inches or more. In some areas, shows storms in Florida, the southeast. For Thursday, shows more across Wisconsin and Iowa, Minnesota from those severe storms. And southern Florida shows a little bit heavier. And then let's see. For Friday, shows more in the south there, some in the north, the plains. Saturday already shows the bigger system there, Colorado and Nebraska especially, in Kansas, might get a lot, in Iowa as well. Sunday still a lot of rain there, and more starting in the Pacific Northwest and Florida. And next Monday still in the Midwest from that system, some isolated north areas. Next Monday still some general rain there. So day 1 through 7, you can see the bigger systems in Montana, in the plains there Saturday, and in southern Florida, the heaviest tropical rainfall, and the storms in Wisconsin, Minnesota tomorrow. So be careful there. Let's see. The snowfall probability shows the probabilities in Wyoming, Montana, and California for today. Later still shows in California. Tomorrow shows in the mountains of California there, and keep showing there in the Sierra Nevada. So be aware, and eventually shifts into Canada there by like Saturday. And then let's see, still doesn't show anything for Colorado there, but with this system on Saturday, the European model was showing a lot of snow there in the Rockies on Saturday, but I guess we'll see. It's kind of far to tell yet, but let's see. The weather map today, some mixed precipitation, flash flooding, and severe storms. And tomorrow, similar thing. And later, just more rain, storms, and some mixed precipitation. So be aware. And let's see. Some totals of the rainfall from the system Montana shows like in inches here. Shows some 2 inches there, 2.5 inches from the European. The GFS has a little bit less, even it's like only 1 inch, but some periods of rain might be heavy. And let's see, the icon has a little bit more, around 3 to 4 inches there. And let's see, there's the NAM. It shows some spots in Montana like to 6 inches, so be aware, some heavy rain there. And the wind gusts still shows like the system there, some higher winds in Montana. This is the European, shows like some 70s kilometers per hour wind gusts. In miles per hour, it must be like some 40s, 49 mile per hour gusts sometimes in Montana. Wyoming is like 57 miles per hour, South Dakota too. So be aware, this is like now, and then the wind gusts grow even more this afternoon. Some spots in Montana might get more than 60 mile per hour gusts sometimes, and then shows that in Wyoming, some places there like some 53 miles per hour, 59. So be careful there. Southern Alberta, some 42. And as it keeps going, kind of dissipates, but still remains some gusty winds through tonight, especially Thursday. Tomorrow shows gusty winds in South Dakota and North Dakota, and of course with the storms there'll be some very strong winds, but it doesn't show here, and it drifts away. So be careful there with those winds. In other areas, it's still kind of quiet. Might have a gusty wind or two near the western coast there, and maybe in the southwest, but nothing crazy. The GFS has also the very gusty winds there in Montana and Wyoming, and the GFS actually extends south, like has a big area of gusty winds, like tomorrow through the plains and those areas, even without low pressure on the northeast there. So be aware, some higher seas too. And let's see, the HER has the winds there in Montana like 51 mile per hour gusts, 55, 60 mile per hour gusts, 55 mile per hour gusts. So be careful. And then it keeps going, like let's see, Thursday, tomorrow, like early tomorrow, chosen South Dakota, some very gusty winds there. And then later tomorrow we'll have that line of storms there. It shows some very gusty winds throughout those areas, and I think this is just the wind. I don't know if this includes the storms or not, but I think those, because the main threat will be like hail for those storms, but there'll be some gusty winds too. So be aware. And then it might drift, you'll drift into Wisconsin there, like let's see, shows like here some gusty winds, like some storms, probably more than 59 mile per hour gusts in some of those storms, so be careful there. And this is mainly it. Let's see, the HER in terms of severe weather today showing like the updraft helicity, like the probability of rotating updrafts indicates like hail and severe storms. It's not showing anything great there. It's actually showing something near Georgia there, some storms, Nevada, but in the plains it's not showing anything crazy. Just in southern Saskatchewan shows some storms. And let's see another one from today, like the 12C. The 12C today didn't show anything crazy either for that slight risk, but it did show in southern Saskatchewan some more storms. And then if I put this all the way to tomorrow, you can already see the big storms in Wisconsin and in Minnesota there. So be aware. The significant tornado parameter, there's only a 2% today, so it's nothing crazy, but does show some slight parameters in North Dakota and Manitoba and parts of Kansas too, but nothing crazy. Just some very slight parameters, but later this evening does show some higher parameters in southern Manitoba, so you never know. And there in Nebraska too, so yeah, be aware. And the temperature's still hot in the southern plains, some 90s or even more. In the southwest as well, in Florida, some 90s, so be aware. For tomorrow, still close to 100 in Texas there, some 90s, and 90s on the southeast too. And let's see, the minimum temperature still some 30s and 40s in the higher mountains there, especially in the mountains, I guess some high 20s Fahrenheit, especially in California, and some 40s there, so be aware. And the maximum temperatures for day 3 shows like 101 in Texas, in Oklahoma, so be careful. Might be some major to almost extreme heat risk in there in Texas and Oklahoma, so be aware. Some 90s in other areas too. And then day 4 shows like still some 90s there, 100 in Southern California, some 90s in other areas. Day 5 shows like it's more 100 on the southwest, more 90s throughout the south, and day 5 minimum temperature still some 4 is there. And this actually from next Monday show like colder in the Rockies, some 30s and 40s. And if I go to like day 3 minimum temperatures from Friday to Saturday, shows colder in the mountains of Montana there. From Saturday to Sunday shows colder in Wyoming and Colorado there, so be aware. And day 6 maximum temperatures, still those hundreds in the southwest, be aware, and more 90s on the southeast. Day 7 shows more 100s on the southwest array and 90s there, so be aware of that heat and those temperatures too. This max wind gusts for today has in Wyoming up to 65 mile per hour gusts or higher parts of Wyoming, so be careful there. And also through Montana, the northern plains and other areas there, so be aware. Let's see here. Mm, maybe some heat indices shows like tomorrow, for example, or later. So here, wait, shows like some in Texas, especially. This is at night, I think. Let's see in the afternoon here. Shows there, especially like day 3. Wait, it's loading. So here shows like this is Tuesday. It doesn't quite show here. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, because in the temperatures show like some hundreds there, but let's see if it shows. It does start showing California, so some higher heat indices, and in Texas there, but let's see if I find like the afternoon here. Shows some higher 90s heat indices in Texas, in the south there, but these heat indices are like lower than the temperatures it was showing there. This is weird, but it might be the models. They might use another model for the temperatures there. So let's see, the GFS shows like, let's see, yeah, it doesn't show much here. So this like Friday shows some higher heat indices there, but it's not showing here. So I think I found it show like some 100 heat indices, but the temperatures they show there were all the way to like 101 or something. So be aware. And let's see if I go back one here, finally. So this is like for Friday, for example, shows in Oklahoma some 105 heat indices, 102, and all the way to Missouri, those higher heat indices. So be aware there. And now the hazard, we have even some frost advisories in the southern Rockies of Colorado there, some red flag warnings in Nebraska and South Dakota, high wind warnings in Montana, Wyoming, and some winter weather in the eastern California there, some flood watches further north in California, and air quality advisories because of the fires in southern California there, and heat advisories in southern Florida. So be aware. Some other quality advisories and flood watches in Montana, but these warnings always change. By the time you see this, it might be different. So for Canada, it shows some stronger storms in southern Manitoba, like I showed you there on the HUR, but the HUR was also highlighting like southern Saskatchewan, but there won't be like many storms there. Most will be in Manitoba, so be aware some very strong wind gusts, some moderate hail, and some heavy rain. Northwestern Territories, nothing. British Columbia is quiet. And Ontario might have those stronger to almost severe storms near Western Ontario, and more general storms throughout Central Ontario. Quebec might be some storms there too, some wind, small hail, and some rain. And Atlantic Canada is kind of quiet. Let's see here for like day 2 if they have something. Not really. So be aware. Let's see this. So in Manitoba, there's some fog advisories, but it's mainly this morning in those areas. It might end later today. Northwestern Territory, some fog advisories too, but it might end later. Saskatchewan, rainfall warnings there because of the big system. So be aware in Saskatchewan, and yes, kind of like that. And also Manitoba, the fog advisories there. And the Northwestern Territory still some air quality advisories, but it doesn't quite show here. So be aware. And the GFS still shows that system there on the coast with some rain and snow in northern British Columbia and Alaska, and some snow in Yukon. And let's see, shows the big system still there today in Saskatchewan and Alberta, mainly Saskatchewan. Then show some storms drifting on Friday around there, and a new system Saturday there for a lot of snow and rain across British Columbia, and even bigger system to pound to the area on Sunday, even another one into next Monday. So this is like a non-stop system parade. So even next Thursday shows another system there on the coast with some snow and rain. So just be aware if you're on the coast of British Columbia and Alaska and Yukon there. But this is just the GFS. The European has kind of different, shows the system today there in Montana and Saskatchewan and Alberta, shows those storms drifting tomorrow, and actually tomorrow into Friday, some snow showers in the mountains there of Alberta and British Columbia. It shows that system approaching by Saturday, shows some heavy rain, snow in those areas on Saturday there. So be aware, and a lot of snow behind it, actually in front of it, so be careful. And then it shows like Sunday, a small system there further south, then a bigger system next Monday, the 23rd, in the whole coastline there. So be aware. And Central Canada shows those storms today in Manitoba, shows even storm or two in Saskatchewan, and later today that heavy rain southern Saskatchewan there because of the system, and some storms in Minnesota and Manitoba there. Then it keeps going. Thursday, some more storms throughout Manitoba and Ontario and other areas, and then still some storms on Saturday and some rain there. Those systems shows heading east, shows a bigger system to come into southern Ontario there later. So we'll have to watch. In Eastern Canada shows some storms and showers in Ontario and Quebec, maybe into Newfoundland, and shows that system there near the U.S. East Coast might leave some rain Thursday, tomorrow, and today even. Shows there, let's see, in Ontario, some storms there tomorrow. Friday, still a storm or two. Shows more storms on Saturday, and that sees the northwestern Ontario Sunday. So be aware, even front into Quebec next Monday, and the bigger system there with some rain in southern Ontario next Tuesday and Wednesday. So be aware, but this is just a forecast. It will change a dozen of times. But let's see, a dozen times. So it shows the temperatures here. Still warm there in Ontario and Quebec, especially New Brunswick. Shows like all the way to 29 degrees in New Brunswick, and in Ontario some 27, 25 degrees, 24 in Manitoba. So be aware, and very cold across the northwest there. Then we keep this going. During the night, it gets very cold there in the northwest. Shows warmer in Ontario, Manitoba, but a little bit chillier during the night. But let's see, still during the day shows like 28 degrees to 27, and very cold in the west there, even during the day. But during the night, like negative temperatures throughout many areas of Yukon, Alaska, northern British Columbia, and the mountains of Alberta there. So be aware of that cold, and then it might fluctuate. Sometimes some days might be colder, some days less, but it shows very cold there, so be careful. And then this keeps going, and yeah, and the snowfall shows like just next 2 days, like 1 day and a half, shows already more snow in the mountains there of British Columbia and Yukon and Alaska there, so more snow there because those systems more from northern Alaska too. And then on the next 3 days, already showing more snow in Yukon, Northwestern Territories, and like next 5 days shows a lot throughout a big area there, especially some mountains in British Columbia and Alaska shows like 98 centimeters or more. A big portion of Yukon and Northwestern Territories and northern Alaska there, Yukon, so be aware. A lot of snow. The Europeans also showing Saturday in Colorado there, showing a lot to like this in inches, some 20 inches there. And let's see, Utah showing some in California as well. So be aware. The GFS has a little bit less in Colorado, but also has snow there on Saturday. A little bit in Montana and California, more in Alberta, British Columbia, especially those northern areas of British Columbia and Yukon and Alaska. So be aware there. And the icon has like also more there, some hotspots around there, northern Alaska too, and the icon even has some snow in Nunavut. So let's see when this is at. Throughout all these next few days, starts on Friday, showing starting late on Friday and continuing there in Nunavut. So I think just the icon is showing this. Let's see, the European only shows a tiny bit, and the GFS also shows snow in Nunavut. so be aware. And this mainly it's some snow in the northern Arctic areas there, and mainly so be careful. Wind gusts still shows the gusty winds northwestern territories in Nunavut today and tomorrow in the U.S. there I showed you, and then it keeps going further north. Hudson Bay on Friday might have some gusty winds there, potentially more than like 55 miles per hour or 89 kilometers per hour gusts. The GFS is showing, and then more there on the coast passage with that system next week might be gusty around the west there, but nothing crazy. The European shows like the gusty winds in Nunavut, northwestern territories today, but it has there in Hudson Bay, not as much as the GFS, but it has too. But the European is showing more like in Alaska there, a lot of strong winds and near British Columbia, so be aware as well. This mainly it.